days ago. Unbelievable. I love it. Randy's like, no, that's not true. Tamika says New Orleans. No way, dude. Are you kidding me? Those oysters that they have, those deep fried oysters that they pull out of that muddy river, they have like basically sand in your oysters. Come on, there's better places to eat than New Orleans. But best fried chicken I've ever had in my life and best cornbread I've ever had in my life was in New Orleans. It was stupid. I walked in this place. I'm like, there's no way this place is as good as they say. It was twice as good as they said. As I was walking out of the restaurant, I turned to everybody else in the restaurant. I was like, y'all, did you guys get the cornbread like I did? And so I just bought everybody cornbread in the whole restaurant. I was like, yo, put it on my tab. Everybody gets cornbread. And I was throwing cornbread around. It was amazing. Oh, come on. Tamika's like, everybody in New Orleans trying to convince me that their oysters are good. It ain't happening. There's no way you'll convince me that New Orleans has good oysters. No way. Those are dirty oysters. Those are the leftovers from everybody else. Come on. But you guys do have phenomenal food. You have very unique food, amazing culture. So anyway, as you guys can tell,
I want to get started. Well, wait, before you start, Pace, I need to give you a true introduction. Okay, guys, first of all, my name is Claudienne Hibbert-Smith. I'm with EXP. However, this is a platform for all realtors of any company because we're here to learn and help you increase your volume. I want to just properly introduce Pace. Listen, the host of the best TV show on A&E's most popular triple digit flip. He's killing it. Pace, let me ask you, how many, I can't go by what was 2 weeks ago. How many units are you at now?
We have, as of right now, I hit 1,800 last week, and I think we've bought like maybe 10 in the last couple of days. So we're at like 1,810 units in our portfolio.
I want y'all to see real quickly, and y'all turn your cameras on. I want you to look at the background of what Pace, to the left of him, he has an entire map, that not your left, our left, that map. And if I could see it good, it is literally where it's literally like a whiteboard. I didn't know you were going to come on here with this setup. So it's a whiteboard, and it looks like he has areas designated for target areas of where he's purchasing. So I don't know if you guys saw that. I definitely caught it. You know, I'm a whiteboard queen, but I love it. Pace, take it away, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting me come in here. I adore you. You are so amazing. I am so grateful that you asked me to come here. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. I'm going to hang out for a while. And the main thing you guys probably want to learn is like, as a real estate agent, how do I do more business with real estate investors? How do I attract real estate investors? Is that like the number one thing I should focus on, guys? Give me a yes or a no in the comments. And don't tell me I should be convinced about some New Orleans oysters by the end of the thing. That ain't happening. Okay. Vivian, that's what you want to know? You want to know about being a real estate agent and like how to get more business? Tamika says anything you talk about is gold. Okay, cool. Real estate agents, how do I get more business? Okay, cool. I'm not a real estate agent. Okay, I'm not a real estate agent. I work with a lot of real estate agents, and I can tell you a lot of the real estate agents also sub-2 deals here in Louisiana. Yes, a lot of my community is doing deals in Louisiana. You guys definitely should get to know my community. I'm going to give you guys some tips. Okay. I can tell you the surefire way, guaranteed way to get business. You want me to just cut to the chase without storytelling? Because I could go right to the chase real quick, and then we could go back to storytelling and backfilling. The number one lowest hanging fruit for me in my business right now is something similar, but very different than what you guys have been taught by your brokers. I'm an investor. So are you guys okay with me beating up real estate agents just a little bit? Can I just be honest and like tell you guys how we think about real estate agents as real estate investors? Give me a yes. Come on. You guys didn't come in here to just learn about how to just be real estate agents. You want to learn how to be real estate investors as well, I'm sure, right? Okay, cool. Tamika's like, we wouldn't have it any other way. Cool. Let's go. Yes. Okay, cool. Most of my real estate deals are creative finance. Okay. When I say most, I mean 95% of my transactions are creative finance. What does that mean? That means seller finance, which I think most of you guys understand what seller finance is. If somebody does not understand seller finance, please tell me. I will explain it to you happily. Or I'd say more like 70% of my transactions are actually subject to deals, which is taking over somebody else's mortgage. Okay, a lot of you guys don't know what that is. I bet you there's a handful of people who are like, I don't know what the heck that means. Taking over somebody's mortgage. Are you talking about an assumption? No, I do not do assumptions. I'm not doing assumptions whatsoever. I do a lot of transactions. When I meet real estate agents and I tell them how they can help me in my business, I immediately quadruple, double, whatever, triple their business overnight by one very simple thing. Okay. How many of you, be interactive with me? You got 38 people, give me 38 responses. Okay. And I will call you out. I will call you out if you don't give me a response. How many of you real estate agents have ran into a situation where you go to a listing appointment and you're basically having to take the appointment at whatever the seller wants to sell the house for? It's like, there's no way you're going to convince the seller that their house is worth less than what they believe it is. How many of you guys have ran into that? Where you're like, oh, you're a little bit out of your mind. Are you kidding me? How do you want me to sell that? Sonia's like, oh my gosh, yes. Okay, cool. Vivian says me. Love it. I got 2 people. There we go. There we go. There we go. Come on. Give me the yeses. Give me the emojis. I want to see them. Perfect. So I look at that and I go, that's the greatest opportunity for a real estate agent, because think about this. You go into an appointment. That appointment, they could be talking to their cousin. This is kind of a disadvantage of being an agent, is that a lot of times a homeowner will hire somebody in their family. Even though that family member doesn't have any experience as a real estate agent, sellers will go to whoever will tell them and convince them, oh, I can sell the house fast and for a top dollar. Well, the reality is, no offense to really great real estate agents, but the person that sells the house is the MLS. The MLS sells the house. No matter how good of a real estate agent you are, if you have a $300,000 house, let's say, and the seller wants to sell it for $350,000, I don't care how good you are. Are you going to sell that house for $350,000? No, it's physically impossible. And I'll walk down some pathways for you guys to make some money with that. You're not going to sell that house. And so what happens is, when you have a seller and you're in an appointment with them and they go, well, we're meeting with a couple of real estate agents. You're like, oh crap. Now I got to be the person that convinces you that I'm the person that's going to sell the house. And part of that is, I'm not going to beat you up on your price because you believe your house is worth $350, even though your neighbor with the exact floor mat model and actually is renovated sold for $300 2 weeks ago. They closed. That's the comp. I'm not going to convince you. How many of you guys have ran into that exact situation? You're like, what do I do here? A lot. In fact, most real estate agents, like, the number one thing you deal with, right? Okay. So imagine this. Imagine if you could go into a seller and you could tell them, I actually have 4 options and 4 ways for you to sell your property. Most real estate agents, okay, Sonia says, I'm dealing with this now. Sonia, can I talk to you? This is so good. Let's bring Sonia up here. Let's have some interaction here. I love that I have control. Thank you so much, Claudienne. Sonia, what's up?
Hey there, how you doing?
I would be doing a lot better if I could see your face. Turn on the camera.
Sorry, I'm not really dressed.
Dang it. Okay, no problem. So Sonia, tell me like 30 seconds what you're dealing with right now. What are you in the middle of?
So I have a property. It is so complicated. They're going through a divorce. I took the listing. We listed it at $1 million. Actually, it was at 1.1. Then they let me. So the wife is living on prices from last summer, when you could have thrown anything against the wall last summer and it would have stuck. And when we went into contract in October, I explained this to her, gave her all the comps. The husband was okay with what I was saying. And we agreed that, after a couple of weeks, if it didn't move, we would, decrease the price to where it should be. So as far as they let me bring it down was to 99999. So now every house around them that's exactly the same, theirs is a little bit more upgraded, but their main components are old, right? Or original. The house exactly next door sold for $865. The one down the street sold for $865, and there's one that sold for $900. So what do you think this house is going to, sell for?
Not $999.
Exactly. So, I've been giving them all of this information, and it's been very difficult You know, I even brought in my Claudienne to help me. We're still trying to get in touch with the wife, but I don't know what to do anymore now. I'm at a standstill.
Okay, cool. So this is what my agents do that I work with. I train them on doing 4 options. Now, number 1, you're kind of into the thick of this, right? You've gotten to the thick of it. Like, I'm going to take the listing, which now you're not even trying to sell the house. You're trying to sell the seller on what the value of the house is in the middle of you already having an active listing, which expires within 6 months, right?
Oh no, it expires this week.
Okay,
Because it's been
perfect.
on the
This is,
market
oh
that
my gosh,
long.
this is so great. Okay, so a couple of things that are really obvious for me as a real estate investor. Who hates real estate agents more than anybody else? Other real estate agents. Okay, that's what I watch. I watch agents attack agents. Oh my gosh, I have seen deals implode just because 2 agents can't communicate with each other. I'm sure you've all seen it. And I'm like, aren't you guys trying to make a commission here? Like, this is crazy. The next person that doesn't like a real estate agent, second, is the person who couldn't get their house sold in the 6 months, no matter how illogical they were, Sonia. They, behind the scenes, are blaming you. Like, they might be nice to your face, but you know behind the scenes, like, she freaking can't sell the house. This house is amazing. We should get a different real estate agent. Do you believe that they're having those conversations behind your back?
Absolutely.
Okay, so think about this. When that listing goes expired in a week, do you know what my team does?
What does your team do?
My team calls your seller, and we create the common enemy conversation. What is the
And what does
common
that
enemy?
look like?
I call your sellers who are no longer your sellers or your homeowners because they've now, it's expired, right? And
Right.
all we simply say is go, hey, I just noticed your house was expired. It looks like your agent couldn't sell the property. What were you looking for on the market that you weren't able to get? And then I shut up. And I let that seller go on and on and on and on about how much they hate the real estate agent and they blame the real estate agent. And they've gone through 6 months of pain and they'll never blame themselves. No seller is going to be logical and go, you know what? I really put Sonia in an impossible situation. I pitted her against another agent. I made her feel this way or that way. And I kind of just forced her to take on a listing that was illogical because me and my wife can't even communicate. We're getting fired. Nobody can even get a hold of my wife. Like, they're not going to say any of that stuff, which is obviously the truth, right?
Correct.
Human nature is to blame somebody else. So what I do is I lean into the fact that they're blaming you, and I then start pitching other strategies besides a cash transaction. And what I do is I say, look, it looks like you had the house listed for $999 at the end. Listing when expired. Would you be open to a conversation of me coming up to your number of $999 if you would be willing to give me terms? Okay. My most easy deal for me to get as a real estate investor is after a real estate agent has been fired and they already know their house isn't going to sell, and I swoop in as the hero in that transaction, and they are now willing to give me their house at $1,100,000 with $50,000 down and 4% interest for 20 years or whatever it is. That is where I'd say half of my deals come from, is an agent getting fired that shouldn't have been fired in the first place. Okay. So where do those deals come from for me? A couple of different places. So Sonia, in your situation right now, you got a week, right? Do you feel like they're going to renew the listing?
Well, what's happening is it's going before a judge. The husband's attorney has involved his attorney, and now we're going in front of the judge next week. And the judge is going to try and first force the wife to sign.
At what price?
We have an offer in for $935.
Okay.
Which is actually a decent offer considering the comps are $865 and $900.
I agree. Sounds like that's the right price.
Yeah. But the wife said she wants more.
Of course she does. Because why? I don't know the situation, but I assume the wife is not working.
Well, how did you know?
because she's clawing at the money, and she's like, she has no other ability besides alimony and monthly payments and this big chunk of money that she's like, well, I got to go buy another house, or I got to go do a thing, or I got to whatever. Now I'm not going to get taken care of.
And there's no mortgage on the house. It's paid in full.
Okay. So she wants that 50% of the cash. She just wants it all right now.
Exactly.
Very cool. All right. Got it. So I've done this a lot. I run into these scenarios. You have a challenging situation. Here's what I would have done differently as an agent walking into every conversation I have as a listing agreement. I always walk in, all my agents do this now, and they go in and they go, look, here's what sets me apart from other agents. Any agent can put a house on the market. And no matter how I feel about your house, no matter how you feel about the house, the ultimate person that dictates what this house is worth is the buyer. The buyer tells us, not the appraiser. I don't care what it appraised for 30 days ago or even a week ago. I don't even care what your neighbor's house sold for. What I care about is whether somebody's willing to pay the price of the house based on the facts that we present. So the best thing I can do as an agent, or any agent, is quality photos, amazing description. I can do that, and I can create a cutting edge advantage a little bit. But the reality is, if there's not a willing buyer to pay $999 for the house, then it's not going to sell. So just like all agents, I can do that as well. I can do that incredibly well. I'm amazing at my job, and I will do the best I possibly can. However, there's a couple of other things I can bring to the table. Now, Sonia, this might not fit every seller that you're talking to, but this is what my agents are doing. They go to the seller and they say, would you be open to getting an offer today with a quick close through a real estate investor? Now, somebody in a divorce situation is probably going to go, no, I want as much money as possible. Perfect. The difference is that you now, as the real estate agent, have offered something other than any other real estate agent, which is a cash offer, quick close, 30 days, somebody comes in. It's not going to be an offer you want, Mr. Seller, but I'm going to get that offer for you regardless, so you can see what an investor would be willing to pay. Are you okay with that? Seller says, yeah, sure, fine. Like I said, you're probably going to say no. Now, the second thing I can do is, obviously, I can list the property just like any other agent. The third thing I can do is, if you want to squeeze out as much money as possible on this house, I also have other real estate investors that will come in and partner with you on improving the property. Now, again, Sonia, this seller probably is convinced that their house is decked out to the nines. They feel like all the renovations are perfect, and why would anybody want to clean up or renovate this property, right? That's like a lot of sellers.
Exactly. And
Right,
we've
that's
had
fine.
some cash offers. We had a cash offer last week for $800.
Perfect. Okay. So you are getting cash offers, but
Yes.
you should, in my opinion, you should be bringing these cash offers on day one, not as they come in from the MLS.
Soon as I get them, I give them to them.
I'm saying bring it to them on day one, not wait for it on the MLS.
Oh, okay.
Do you ask yourself this question, everybody, all you real estate agents on here? Do you have an investor that you could text an address to and get a cash price in 15 minutes?
I don't.
That's a problem. Okay. Think about this. It sets the tone in the relationship with your seller when you're like, hey, I've got an investor that I do a tremendous amount of business with. I'll bring an offer to you immediately before we even go on the market. Other agents are going to not even bring that as an option. How do you even get a deal with, or I call it a deal, but you guys call it a listing. How do you get a listing with an agent or with a seller? Rapport, cutting edge advantage, and follow up. So what I do is I try and give as many options to the seller as humanly possible to show that I am way more credible than the other people they're talking to. Okay. So you can obviously use me. You can use other people in my community that are buying deals. So you can say, hey, I have a listing appointment at this house on 123 Main Street on Thursday. What would you pay for this house, assuming it needs a full renovation, assuming it doesn't need a renovation, and assuming it's fully renovated? Give me 3 prices. So now you're walking into the listing appointment armed and educated, whether you get the listing appointment or not, because you now look like a shining real estate agent rather than somebody's like, let me list your house and stick it on the market. That's one advantage. The next advantage is now you can come to them and go, hey, look, if the house does need to be renovated, I don't think your house does, but just in the event that you want to stretch the dollar as much as possible, I have real estate investors that will come in and actually clean up the property. This might not work for you specifically, Sonia, but this is something that you should be offering to all of your sellers. We can get top dollar. The investor comes in with their money. and they give you a locked in price. They say, I guarantee you, I can get you 900,000 and everything else above that is my money, but I'm going to clean up the property and turn it into a blah, blah, blah property, whatever. We call this a seller net listing or a novation agreement. It is legal in all 50 states. Sometimes you'll get agents that come to me and go, that's not legal in my state. I'm like, well, that's because you have a dumb broker. Your broker's stupid. Sorry. The reason they call them brokers is because typically they're broker than a real estate investor. So that's why we call them brokers. I'm sorry. You might not like it, but it's true. So the fourth option, this is where a lot of my deals come from with real estate agents. Real estate agents go to the seller and they say, look, if you want the highest number possible, and you also, depending on the situation, if they lived in the property, they're not going to have capital gains. If it's a real estate investment for them and they're ready to retire, this also will not only give them the highest possible number, but it will also give them the ability to mitigate the majority of their capital gains tax. So you go to the seller and you go, look, I'm going to give you option one, cash price, fully renovate, it needs to fully renovate. It's okay, lipstick, or it doesn't need to be renovated. I'm going to give you 3 prices from an investor before you even sign my listing agreement, because I believe in giving value before I ask for value in return. Think about being the agent that goes in and does that before you ask for a listing agreement. You go, this is one part of what I bring to the table. I have a team of people. I have a team of investors. I have a team of this. I have a team of that, blah, blah, blah. I even have an investor that will pay your asking price today before we even go to the market if you are willing to give my investor terms. I'm going to tell you 50 to 60% of all my deals come from expired listings. Why is that? Because real estate agents don't know how to do anything but put a stick in a yard and throw a house on the MLS. That's how real estate investors think about agents. It might hurt some feelings, but it gives you the opportunity to learn some amazing things. I'll give you an example, okay? Give you an actual house or a property as an example. 4101 West Flower Street. This is a property I just closed on a couple weeks ago. Let me pull it up on my little handy dandy iPad real fast. 4101 West Flower Street in Phoenix, Arizona, okay? Let's go on. I could go to realtor.com. That's fine. So check this out. Come on. This is a property that is kind of a typical situation with me and my sellers. I'll just do a screen share on this. I won't have to worry about that. All right. So this property is a property that was, sorry, give me just a second, guys. I apologize. I was going to use my iPad, but I decided not to. 4101 West Flower Street. Now, I do this in all states. I do this in Atlanta. I do this in New York. I do this all over the place, but this is one that we just recently closed. So you go to Zillow, and this little house, cute little house, was listed by a real estate agent. The seller, okay, the seller bought this property in 2020 with a VA loan. What do we know about a VA loan? How much money did that seller put down when they bought this property? Okay, Claudienne's got it. It's either 0 or sometimes 3%, 0 to 3%. Okay, a lot of times it's 0. So if I bought a property in 2021 and it's now 2022, end of 2022, market's kind of declined, interest rates have gone way up, my buyers are not able to pay the same amount for this house that they could have a couple of years ago, and I am the seller selling my property. How much equity do you think I have in this property that I just bought 18 months ago or 20 months ago or 36 months ago, whatever? Give me some comments in the side chat. How much equity do you think we have? Okay, 0. So how does a real estate agent sell a property that doesn't have equity? How do you do that? And I imagine that you are going in with your sellers. I hope you are. And when you're talking to your sellers and you're saying, all right, seller, homeowner, whatever you guys call them. We call them sellers. You guys call them homeowners, I think. Hey, homeowner, you have no equity in the house. You know how many agents I know that don't even know how much equity the seller has? So many agents don't even know that. So many agents have no clue how much equity the seller has. Now, by the way, let's just real quick, I want to teach you what equity means. I know you guys are like, Pace, we're an agent. We know what equity means. I disagree. I think most agents think equity is the difference between what you owe and what the house is worth. Do we agree with that? I disagree. Equity is what you have left over after you sell the property. That is equity. I got to pay my agent, don't I? I got to pay another agent, don't I? A lot of times my buyers come in and ask for concessions, don't they? So would that technically mean that I had equity and they stole the equity from me and my real estate agent stole my equity? No. The real estate agent should be considered when you're talking about equity. Real equity is what you have left over after the house sells. Mortgage has been paid off. The agent's been paid off. All of the utilities and the taxes and all that stuff has been paid off. And now that is the real equity. So here's the situation on the house on Flower Street, okay? Let me do a little whiteboard session. Oh, sweet. My app's got all updated. This is sweet. Cool. All right, here we go. So the seller bought this house. Okay, he bought this house for, wow, I got to learn this whole thing all over again. This is great. Seller bought this house for $300,000. Okay, fast forward in 2022, seller's trying to sell the house for $325,000. If the seller bought the house with a VA loan or even an FHA loan, and now they're selling the property for $325,000, how much will the seller walk away in their pocket with? Joe Cohen, I'm watching you. I want to see a type. I want you to see you typing. I'm going to start calling you guys out. JR, how much equity does this seller have? They bought it for 300. They now are turning around and selling it for 325. How much equity does the seller have? We already, ooh, Joe says 25 grand. He didn't pay attention. Joe, I know your name, Joe. Shame, shame, shame. What do you mean? What's the sales commission? Is not the sales commission? Should we not assume that the sales commission should always be 5 to 6%? I think agents deserve to get paid. Do we not agree? Guys, do the research on this. This is something that I know as an investor that agents don't know. Do you know what the average cost to sell a house in the United States is? It's 10%. The average cost, there you go. Amir's got it. There you go. The average cost to sell a house in America is 10%. Okay. You've got your agents, you've got your closing costs, you've got all sorts of things that people don't take into consideration. What happens when your buyer comes and says, hey, we have an inspection report and we want these 15 things fixed? Does the seller not have to pay for those things? Does the seller not have to give concessions up? Look it up. It is a statistical fact that the average cost to sell a house in the United States is 10%. It used to be 11% before you agents started giving up your commissions because you thought that was the only way to compete. You thought the only way to compete was to give up 1% of your commission. Okay. Marta says, in this market, yes, seller concessions or repairs. What about closing costs? What about a lot of times your buyers don't have the ability to cover certain things, right? How about this? How about the fact that this seller on 4101 West Flower Street, does he not have a mortgage that he's paying and utilities and all of that thing on an empty house? This is what happened. Seller, okay, his name's John. John meets a girl. That's what boys do. They go meet girls, okay? John goes meets a girl. The girl says, hey, John, come move in with me and sell your house. We fell in love with each other. John says, like all guys, they go, oh my gosh, I'll live with you. That'll be amazing. I'll go sell my house. Does that mean John no longer has a house payment on this house on 4101 West Flower Street? Of course not. The agent who took on this listing did not explain any of this to the seller. Okay. So here's John. He's got this house. He's got a payment now on this property of like $1,600 every single month. How many months did this agent have a hard time selling it? Well, they couldn't sell it for 6 months. Here's the story. I wait until 120 days as a real estate investor before I waste my time calling an agent, because agents, I'm just being really honest here. I'm sorry. Most agents, all they care about is getting more listings and letting the MLS sell the house for them. So they're not even aware that they're in trouble until about 120 days in. When they're 4 months in the listing, they've dropped the price at least one time. My team in red, then starts calling the agent and saying, hey, looks like you're having a hard time selling the house, not trying to offend you. I just want to get a deal done. Would your seller be open to letting me take over their payments? I can see, by the way, guys, it's 2023. We can see that they have a VA loan. We can see who their mortgage company is. We can see what their interest rate is. I'm sure you guys know this already. It's tax records. It's on your county recorder's office. I, as an investor, can see this. I don't need the MLS to see this. Is this news to anybody? We are sitting here, millions of us real estate investors are sitting here waiting for the listing to hit 120 days. Interesting. On 120 days, when I call an agent and the agent says, I go, hey, agent, my name is Pace. I always intro with my name. I always intro my intention. I'm an investor. I'd like to give you a cash offer on the house plus a terms offer. Most agents have no idea about terms. So what do most agents say when I bring up terms? They say, they won't just come out and tell you the truth. They won't say, I've never learned this. My 2 weeks of real estate school actually didn't teach me anything except how to not go to prison. My broker doesn't teach me anything for the most part. And so I actually don't know what terms are. No agents ever said that to me, just FYI. Agents tell me, they go, wait, you want to take over? You want to take over my client's payments? What do you think most agents tell me? They go, that's illegal, which it's not. That's the dumbest statement. It just tells me how inexperienced you are when somebody says this is illegal. Okay. Then the other thing they say is my client is not interested. This is like 99% of it is right here. My client's not interested. They just want an all cash offer. Okay, cool. So that's on 120 days. So what do I then do? What does my team then do? We follow up on 140 days. We follow up on 160 days. And finally, we follow up on that magical 180 day. What happens on the 180th day on this listing? What happens? 180 days is 6 months. What happens on 180th day after this house is not sold? It expires. So then, as the real estate investor, by the way, I'm not licensed. So could I just not have gone to the seller myself? Could I have not just bypassed the agent and not broken any laws? I could have just gone directly to the seller, right? Interesting. But why didn't I? Why did I not go directly to the seller? Well, because you guys have a silly listing agreement that says you get paid regardless of whether you sell the house or not. And so I go, I'm going to respect the relationship and I'm going to give the agent an opportunity here to build a relationship with me. And when they say no on 120 days, they say no on 140 days, they say no on 160 days, they know when I'm calling them on the 180th day, that's the day that they're getting fired. And I'm giving them one last attempt. Hey, I want you to win. I want you to get a commission. How do we get this deal done? I will take over your seller's payments. I will do seller finance, and I'll go into seller finance because some of you guys are like, well, my sellers have a lot of equity. Cool. We'll talk about that too. Okay. So what happened is the agent who told me they're not interested, they're not interested, they're not interested. What do I really know? I have this amazing device in my head. It's called a translator. Okay. So when somebody says something, I can translate it to what the truth is. The truth is they are saying to me, I'm not educated. I don't want to look stupid because you're not licensed and I am, and I'm supposed to be the one with all the answers. Instead of just being transparent saying, hey, Pace, I don't know what this is. Can you walk me through and tell me how that benefits my client? They don't do that. So here's what happens. We call the seller, all right? We call the seller on day 100 and what? 181st day, we call the seller. Now, guess what? It's just me or my team and the seller directly. And when I ask the seller, hey, seller, are you open to terms? Which means taking over payments. Are you open to me just taking over your payments? Think about the seller that was just making a $1,600 payment while he moved into his girlfriend's house, who had an agent who told him, I can sell the house in 2 months or faster. Do you think the seller that I'm talking to is going to be open to terms and just letting me take over the payments? Here's what the seller says 100% of the time. We call the seller and we go, are you open to terms? The seller says, yeah, I'm open to anything. Of course, that's great. And I say, okay, great. Did you like my previous offer? What do you think the seller now says? I tell the seller, hey, look, my team reached out on 120 days, 140 days, 160 days, and 180 days. And the seller says, that is news to me. The agent who had this listing for 6 months did not even bring up my conversation with the seller one time. This is the majority of the deals I am doing is agents standing in my way. Now, here's why I wait for the agent, because here's what ends up happening. I go get a purchase and sell agreement. I go open up escrow. I go close escrow on that deal. You can pull up all of these houses that I ever talk about. 4101 West Flower Street. I closed on that, I don't know, five or 6 months ago. That was a house. I actually documented my conversation with the agent and I documented my conversation with the seller and I put it all on my YouTube channel so you guys can see how my typical conversation with an agent goes. So I went through the agent because I closed the deal. This was a $300,000 purchase price, basically, because I just took over the $300,000 mortgage. As the agent, how much money would you have made if you would have just got me terms? How much would you have gotten paid? $9,000. $9,000. So this is what I do. As a professional, I then go to the agent. Here's the seller. Seller walked away. I've got the deed to their house now. We can talk about what subject to is a little bit more because some of you guys are like, I don't know what you're talking about with taking over payments. We can talk about that. I now own the property. Mortgage is still in the seller's name. Yes, that's true. You heard me. The seller still has the mortgage in their name. I have the deed, which means I have ownership and control of the property. And I then call who? I call the agent. I go, hey, agent, I just want you to pull up public record. I usually shoot them a text message with a screenshot of my county recorder's office website. And that screenshot shows that I'm now the new owner of the property that they told me their seller was not interested in. Am I doing this to rub it in their face? No. I'm doing it to recruit agents to do business with me. Because sometimes that's what it takes to get through to agents is to show them that it's possible, show them that I went through a title company, show them that I purchased title insurance, showed them that an escrow company or a closing attorney handled the transaction legally. It was recorded at the county recorder's office. And the most important part of the piece is that they missed out on a layup $9,000 commission. Layup. Yeah.
So then who pays? I like this because instead of getting paid zero,
yeah,
who you get paid your 3%, which is what you would have been paid anyway.
Yep.
The seller was able to relinquish themselves from a payment. how do you, one, what is the new payment to the seller? And two, I think you just raised your hand because you knew I was about to ask who paid the commission. You paid the commission, but how do you calculate and make the numbers make sense to the seller?
Okay. So in this situation, the seller, how much equity does the seller have? We just talked about this. $300,000 purchase that they bought. They're trying to sell the house for $325,000. How much equity does the seller have?
Zero.
They actually have negative $5,000 in equity, plus their payments that they make for 6 months times 18, what was it, $1,600. This seller had a tremendous amount of pain. What? I don't need to pay the seller. The seller, I avoided, I did pay the seller. I helped the seller avoid cutting a check when they sold their house.
So you literally are just taking over the
I
baby.
literally just say, give me your freaking keys. Literally, literally. Give me your keys. I'll have the title company take your name off the deed and my name is on the deed and you walk away with nothing. That is literally 80% of the deals I do. Now, do I have sellers? Like I got a big RV park right now. I'm buying $7 million and I'm giving the seller $500,000 down. That's what real estate investors do. We have money. As much as I like to do no money down or zero money down, I do a lot of deals where I'm putting 8% down, 4% down, 6% down. Okay. I love this. So Amir says, what percentage of deals are like this since home has to be so much in equity? Guys, a lot of deals are like this. Think about all the houses that were originated in 2020, 2021 that have they're trapped. They can't sell that. Look at your MLS. How many expired listings have popped up in your MLS in the last 30 days? And you tell me how much opportunity. You know how much there is in Phoenix, where I live? 900 expired listings every 2 weeks, 1,800 of these per month. And you know what's amazing about expired listings is the only people calling expired listings are other agents trying to get another listing. Oh my gosh. Do you really want to be the agent that just watch another agent get fired by an illogical seller in a challenging situation and go, I can list the house on the MLS better than them? Is that your only cutting edge advantage, is call expired listings and say, I'm a better agent? The only way to be a better agent is to have better tools and better ways and more abundant ways for the seller to sell the property. Seller finance or terms, or even a lease option. There's 1,000 different ways for the seller to sell their house. Okay. So that's subject to. So the answer is I would pay the commission, because think about this. Do I disclose that I'm an agent if I will take over the payment? Yes, you disclose Vivian, you disclose you are an agent, but you are not their agent. I do not represent you. I'm an agent. I'm actually, there you go. So Joe says, I've pitched innovation. There you go. Ooh, this is great. Judy, she says, what about DSCR? Is 20 to 25% down. I'm so confused. Love it. It's because I jumped into stuff without giving you guys the warm up. I usually give people the warm up for a long time. Let me go to Judy for a second. Judy, by the way, you sent me a message privately. Or is it Judy or Judy? I think it might be pronounced Judy, but I don't know. Let's find out.
I'll bring her up. Judy, come up.
I got her. I just asked her to unmute. Is it Judy or Judy?
Judy.
Judy, come on. Come talk to me.
Wait, I won.
Yes, you did. You won the lottery. What's up?
How are you? So I've been dealing with Grant Cardone for about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And I'm learning about how they do it. I'm learning about how to get involved in multifamily. As a matter of fact, I was involved already in one deal, but I really want to do things in a different way. And now I'm really still confused with what you are explaining, because the only choice that I'm finding is the DSCR right now.
Okay, so your name is Judy, correct?
Judy, yes.
Judy or Judy?
Judy.
Okay. Think about this, okay? I'm friends with Grant Cardone. I love Grant Cardone. You should go watch my podcast with Grant Cardone. I completely school him on creative finance. And the whole time he's just like, oh my gosh, I've been doing it wrong this whole entire time.
Like for real, like my mind is about to.
I know this is, go watch my episode with Grant Cardone. He literally went through the same exact situation. He's like, what? He like called Ryan Secco on his team. He's like, dude, we've been doing it wrong this whole time. Okay. Grant Cardone is like, if you go do what Grant Cardone does, it's like playing mini golf. How many golf clubs do you have in mini golf?
I don't know.
You've played putt golf before, I'm sure of it.
No.
You haven't seen those people playing, like they go on dates and they have
One.
Okay, how many golf clubs do you play with?
One.
Okay. When you are a real estate agent, you are playing with one golf club.
Okay.
How many golf clubs does Tiger Woods play with? He plays with 14 golf clubs that do all sorts of different things depending on where he's at on the course and what the shot requires. It's the same game. I'm just playing with way more tools. I'm not telling you to do things different than Grant Cardone. I'm just telling you I do different strategies than Grant Cardone. So whatever he's teaching you is like putt-putt. It's cute. It's cute stuff. But a DSCR loan requires 20 to 30% down. And by the way, you show me a DSCR lender right now that will give you a loan at 20% down, and I'll show you a liar. Do you know what the average DSCR loan right now is quoting? Is 35% down payment with a 9% interest rate.
9% interest rate.
Do I go get DSCR loans? No. I don't go and use my credit. I have not used my credit in over 2,000 transactions. I have not used anybody's credit in over 2,000 transactions. Okay. Yudi, think about this. Do you know what seller finance is?
No, I'm still confused.
Okay, cool. Show me your watch. Show me your watch. Is that a Rolex or what is that?
Cartier.
Okay, it's Cartier. Cute, very cute, amazing watch. They're one of the best watchmakers ever. How much is that watch? 10 grand?
10,000.
Okay, so let's say it's $10,000. Would you sell that watch to me for $11,000? Let's say you didn't want that watch anymore. Would you sell it to me for 11 grand?
If I don't want it, of course.
Okay, but what if I went to you and I said, Yudi, will you let me make payments to you for that watch? Can I make a $500 payment on that watch for you for 20 months? Is that possible? Is that technically possible?
In my case, maybe not.
No. Is it possible
It's
technically?
Possible. It's possible.
Okay. That's called seller finance. So right now, if you buy, think about this. If you buy a Cartier watch for $10,000 at Cartier, and you then go to the open market and you say, I'm selling a used Cartier watch, are you going to be able to sell it for the same amount of money as you bought it for?
No.
There you go. Did he just answer the question for us? He said no? Or is he saying hi to you?
No.
Okay, so it's the same thing with a car, same thing with a house. Okay? So if you decide, all right, we need to sell this watch, but I need $10,000 right now. The only way you're going to get that $10,000 is letting your buyer make payments to you. And if you are the seller, then you are financing me and letting me make payments. That is called seller finance. Do I need a credit check to do that, Yudi?
No.
Okay. So if I'm buying, like yesterday, I just bought a $20 million, 160 unit multifamily deal with zero credit check in Tucson. Do I need to go and raise a whole bunch of money and go raise 20, $30 million like Grant Cardone does and put a fund together to go buy multifamily? No.
Wow.
Do you know what multifamily actually is? Multifamily is not even real estate. Multifamily is a game of raising capital and it's managing a massive amount of tenants. What most people are, I'm going to find a multifamily deal. It's like, okay, well, you're gonna have to go raise a lot of money.
Yeah.
So when people are like, I want to learn multifamily, great. Don't learn multifamily. Go learn how to raise capital before you go learn multifamily. Because that's what multifamily is. But what if I'm buying deals where the sellers are asking me for 3% down or 5% down?
Wow.
Now, you guys are like, well, this is uncommon. Well, let me show you a couple things. By the way, if you go to your MLS, all of you girls, all of you people, all you guys, if you go to your MLS right now, you will find, when I was with Grant Cardone, he says, but these are hard to find. I go, Grant, I'll show you on the MLS right now in Southern Florida right now on your MLS. There are active deals on seller finance right now on the MLS. He's like, you're lying. How many do you think are active right there in the Miami-Dade County? 900 plus on the market, listed on the MLS. Look at this. I'm going to go United States on landwatch.com. How many owner finance deals are available in the country right now on just one website? Type it in the chat. Tell me that this is not common. Tell me that this doesn't happen every single day of the week. Tell me that investors are not just doing these deals behind your agents' backs all day long and cutting you out of it because nobody taught you this stuff. Is that news to you guys? Can you see it on my screen? How many listings are on this one website? How many listings? Wow, y'all are like horrible at typing. There we go. How many listings are on this website right now? So when you had the mindset 4 minutes ago, you had the mindset of, well, where do these deals exist? Guys, I could go to website after website after website after website after website. Kayla, I muted you on purpose because a lot of times you get people ordering burritos and yelling at their kids. So I mute everybody on purpose. I want the chat to go. Okay. There you go. So by the way, I do literally when I do trainings, people are like ordering burritos at Filiberto's and stuff like that. And so I just mute everybody. So Yudi, if I'm buying on owner finance, do I need a credit check and do I need to go to a stupid DSCR lender and do I need to put 20 or 30% down?
Nope.
Then what are we doing here? Why would you learn anything else?
And it's hard to put the 20%, a big deal.
Why would you learn anything else? Okay. Now, real estate agents are also going to bring up stuff like, well, what about the due on sale clause? Right? I actually saw somebody type it up. Real estate agents are like, due on sale clause. Yes. Leslie says, are there websites that homeowners are interested in selling owner finance can market their homes? Yeah, it's called the MLS.
So Pace, let me just step in for a second because they may not know. Guys, there's a portion of the MLS. If you're not a listing agent and you've never entered a listing or you're not paying attention as a buyer's agent, in the portion where it says payment option, gives you an option for seller's financing. So let's just say I was on the MLS and I'm looking for these particular properties. I'm going to go into my search and put in seller's financing so that I could pull up all the seller's financing. Just like if you wanted to see all short sales, you would put in short sales, yes, and pull up all the short sales. Pace, now I want to mention this because I'm glad that you're here for a couple of reasons. You just showed us how to work with you as an investor. So now we don't have to experience getting cut out of a deal to be taught a lesson, because he just taught it to you here. And then also, guys, strategically, a lot of times the agents, we're making the investors rich and you're forgetting about yourselves. And
this is where I'm just going is right here.
Okay. All right.
So, Yudi, do you now know what seller finance is? Give me a thumbs up. I think she's playing Candy Crush on her phone screen right now. I'm just kidding. She's just tapping the comments. It's just a joke. Just a joke. Okay. So It varies depending on the market. J.R. Alexander says it varies depending on the market. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's seller carryback. Sometimes it's seller financing, owner financing. Seller will carry. There's a lot of different terms that some people will type in. So you got to use all those. Okay, so the deal on flour. Okay, think about the deal on flour. But this is good. Randy says, where do you find that on the MLS? Ooh, this is so good. Okay, so here's what I would do if I'm an agent. You want to work with an investor, you want to get a deal, you want to make 10 grand this week? I'll tell you how to make 10 grand this week, like literally. And by the way, agents, I'm sorry if I'm breaking any of your guys' like broker rules, but there's no law in the United States that says you cannot do a wholesale deal or you guys can be in a part of a transaction that can close in a week. The problem is agents are so positioned to think, I can only make a commission. It has to go through my broker and I have to make a commission. That's fine. Have it go through your broker. Okay. Joe says a lot of the sub-2 community doesn't buy in California. I don't think anybody in California wants to buy in California, Joe, but there are a lot of sub-2 community members that buy in California, a lot of them. Have you talked to Uncle Lanza? Have you talked to Christian Hernandez? Have you talked to Mitch Roy? Have you talked to Tia Campbell-Peterson? I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. A lot of people. California sucks. Why does California suck? Because if I'm trying to only rent to a regular tenant, is California a place that I want to accumulate rentals? No, it's not. But if I'm doing Airbnb or I'm doing other types of strategies, then yes, California is a great place. Okay, perfect. So Joe, have you talked to Uncle Lanza? That's all he does is California. It's the only thing he does. Only does California. The last 2 sub-2 deals I did with Uncle Lanza were, there you go. Cool. You got it. Okay. So you guys are all commission. And when I talk to an agent, all I can look at their eyes is they have commission breath. Their commission is on their eyeballs. All they want to do is commission, 3%, 2%, 3%, 2%, 3%, 2%. What if you got the expired listing list? What if you got the expired listing list and you reached out to the expired listings and you said, hey, my name is, let's say Vivian. Hey, my name's Vivian. I am a real estate agent, but I'm not calling to list your property. I'm calling to see if you would be interested in a different type of offer. Obviously, you put your house on the market. Your agent wasn't able to sell it. Has anybody offered you to take over payments or to do some sort of seller finance? Now, they've already gone through 6 months of being told no, and the market's told them the price isn't worth it. They're already upset with their other agent. They don't want to list the property again. They're poised for an amazing offer where you can say, hey, I've got an investor that will come in and take over payments or offer you terms. And I'll give you a really great example of this. Okay. So, this will be great. I'll pull this up. And this is how you guys can actually get not just commissions, but you guys can get ownership of deals. Okay. So I'm going to pull up Glacier National Park. Who's been to Glacier National Park, by the way? You can't say anything. You got to type in the side chat. I muted everybody. Because sometimes I don't like people ordering their Mexican food in the drive-thru while they're unmuted. Okay, pretty amazing place, Glacier National Park. Man, y'all got, my community just blows up the chat. Y'all don't like to type. You guys like to talk in here, I guess. She's got you conditioned to talk instead of type. And that's okay. So check this out. It's an amazing part of the country. Some people, you guys are in Atlanta. Y'all don't know what Montana has to offer. It's unbelievable. It's one of the most special places on planet Earth. But check this out. Whitefish, Montana is an area where all the billionaires are pushing out all the millionaires. Okay. Like Shaquille O'Neal has a house up here. Drew Brees, a lot of these big ball players own property up here. And then when you zoom out, you'll see that Glacier National Park, one of the most beautiful national parks in our country, is right here as well. And the only way to get to either one of those locations, Whitefish or up to Glacier, is on this little road right here. What's cool is I just bought this RV park right here, all of these spots, plus these storage facilities right here, okay? And I also bought this RV park in the same exact transaction. So think about this. All I'm doing is renting dirt and people are paying me $100 a night. Look, that's just so cool, okay? It's bringing in $3,000 or $4,000 a night there. This one over here is bringing about $8,000, $9,000 every single night. This is an amazing purchase. How did I get this purchase and how did the agent get paid on this? This is a very typical story. This is a fresh situation. Okay. Agent has the properties listed. Okay. Agent has the properties listed. So there's a seller. Seller's motivation is they want to retire and they want the highest possible price. Okay. The other motivation is by the way, you guys know most real estate investors don't know how to manage their properties. What do we call them? Real investors who don't know how to manage their properties and are wanting to sell their property. What do we call them? We call them in the investor world, we call them tired landlords. They are tired of being a landlord. They don't know how to manage. They don't have a good team. They're fixing the toilets themselves. This is like who I target. A lot of people I target. All right, cool. So here's the seller. Seller has 2 RV parks and he's trying to sell the property for $7 million. Okay. Brings in a ton of cash. It cash flows, all of that. Now he goes and does what every seller thinks they should do, which does what? They hire an agent. This agent specializes in RV parks. And the agent says, absolutely, I can sell this property in no time. Okay. Well, this story doesn't have a great ending for this agent, at least in the first initial transaction. So what happens is 6 months. In 6 months, the agent can't sell the property. Why? Because the agent A didn't position themselves properly. Remember, in the very beginning of what I told you guys is you guys need to be going to your sellers and giving them more options than just a cash option. A, give them a cash option, right? From an investor. B, obviously, let's talk about a listing. C, how about you partner to flip this? This is obviously not a good fit for this specific situation. Or D, seller finance. If this agent had offered seller finance during that 6 months, would they have dropped the price to $6.3 million and then ultimately the agent got fired? Would that have happened? No. Wouldn't have happened. Okay. So this agent's name is Tom. So in this situation, what do I want as an investor? I want a relationship with agents. I want agents working with me, looking out for opportunities for me. So pay attention to how this deal worked. Okay. Step 1, listing went expired. Okay. I had an option here. Either A, go to the seller direct, or B, go to the agent. Why would I go to an agent if the listing has already been expired as an investor? Because this agent should go out and find more deals for me for the rest of my life if I show them loyalty. So as an investor, I go to this agent. I go, hey, Tom, I noticed that this listing went cold. It's expired. Would you be willing to go back to that seller and offer him seller finance? Here's how I actually start the conversation. I tell Tom, I say, hey, Tom, I could call the agent, I could call the seller directly, but I don't want to do that. I'm looking for a long-term relationship with agents, especially in the Glacier Valley. I'm trying to build my portfolio here. So I'm hoping to get a deal done with you. And I want to show you that I'm somebody who can close. Would you mind calling your seller and offering seller finance? Agent says, my seller doesn't want to do seller finance. And I said, Tom, what do you have to lose, my friend? Tom says, okay. When an agent tells me again that their seller didn't want to do seller finance is because the agent hasn't learned how to pitch seller finance. And maybe Claudienne will have me come back and I'll teach you guys how to pitch seller finance to a seller and how to come up with all the terms. So Tom trusts me. Tom goes back to the seller. And he says, hey, I have a buyer on the line that's willing to pay your $6.3 million if you are willing to seller finance the property. It's a $6.3 million property. The seller has $6 million in equity. $6 million in equity. So this answers the question of what happens when the seller has a lot of equity. Seller says no. Why did the seller say no? Well, because the agent doesn't know how to speak to the seller. So I said, hey, Tom comes back. He actually texted me. He didn't even want to call me. He's like, seller doesn't want to do the deal. Text me. And I go, hey, Tom, do you mind just introducing me and the seller, and I'll call the seller and I'll do the job for you? And he's like, well, I don't want you to go around me. I was like, Tom, I could have gone around you from the beginning, bro. I'm not going to go around you. I want to show you that I could go, I could get the deal done. Tom's like, oh yeah, all right, you're right. I'm sorry. The old agent brain in me is tricking me and thinking everybody's going around me. And I go, call the seller. Let's get on a phone call. So I got on the phone call with the seller, seller and Tom. And I said, hey, seller, looks like you're trying to sell the house or the property for $6.3 million. If you give me seller finance, I can also show you how to mitigate or lower your tax burden. How much did you buy the property for? He's like, $4 million. Tells me just straight up. Surprise, surprise. You're trying to do a deal with somebody. That's what happens. Says I bought it for $4 million. I've held on to it for 18 months. I'm trying to sell it for 6.3. It's not something that I wanted to do. I never, wanted to really manage an RV park. I thought it would be kind of turnkey. The guy who sold it to me said it was going to be turnkey. Goes on for a 40-minute conversation. Okay. I get off the phone. Right before I get off the phone, the seller says, yeah, let's do a seller finance deal. This sounds great. I do need some money down. Are you okay with putting money down? I go, yeah, I'll give you money down. No problem. And I go, I'll tell you what, I'll also pay the commission to Tom out of my pocket so you don't have to worry about it. He's like, wow, okay, let's get the deal done. So I get off the phone and I'm talking to Tom. Tom goes, dude, I can't believe the seller totally changed his mind. I go, Tom, welcome to sales, bro. Like, if you didn't have to use any skills, then nobody would need sales training. Like, I actually understood his situation, Tom. He doesn't want to manage the properties. He thought it was going to be way easier than he was told. Somebody said that it was going to be turnkey. It's not. He wants to make a profit. He's into it $4 million. He now has a tax burden. If he sells it for $6.3 million, he has a taxable event from $4 million to $6.3 million. He's going to have to pay taxes on $2.3 million. But guess what? With seller finance, Tom, he can spread out those capital gains over years and years and years and still get $6.3 million. And more importantly than that is that not only can he get the $6.3 million, but if he becomes my bank, kind of like the Cartier watch, let me make payments for the watch, and he charges me 3% or 4%, he's now making 3 and 4% interest on $6 million and avoiding the capital gains and getting the price he wanted. And Tom's like, well, when you put it that way, it kind of seems like a no-brainer. I go, Tom, everybody asks me all the time, why would a seller do seller finance? And my question is, why would a seller not do seller finance? You show me a reason why a seller, it does not benefit in a seller finance situation, and I'll show you who somebody is that's ill-informed. Tom's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So I say, Tom, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to pay you a 1% commission on this because this was a dead deal and I had to close the seller, not you. Are you okay with that? He's like, yeah, $63,000. That's amazing. I go, okay, great. I'll pay your commission, but what we're going to do is I'm going to release. This is what I did to the agent because I'm sorry, I don't trust agents. I'm very sorry. I said, I will release your commission to you when you find me my next deal in Glacier. He's like, that's not fair. That's not. I go, Tom, you had an expired listing. I called you and gave you an education. You should have just pitched seller finance in the first place. So do you want to do the deal with me or not? Or should I work out with the seller? And he goes, I guess that's the only option I have. I go, Tom, it's the best option for you because I'm goading you into doing more business with me. How is this a bad situation? I'll even sweeten the deal with you because I do this with all of my real estate agents. Every time you bring me in the next deal, not only will I pay you the full commission on the next deal at close of escrow, I will also pay you 10% equity of the ownership of the property. You can stay on board as a partner of mine. He's like, you're joking me. I go, no. You become my deal finder for this area. I just want you to find deals for me. I don't have to go hire a whole entire team. You go find the deals and you offer seller finance. And if they go for it, I'll give you 10% on the first deal. On the next deal, I'll give you 15%. On the next deal, I'll give you 20%, all the way up to 30% equity in every single deal that I buy. He's like, well, how much money do I have to put up? I go, none. I'll bring all the money to the table. So Tom is like, I didn't even think this was possible. I go, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing that after being an agent for 22 years and you wanted to brag to me that you're a Coldwell Banker person for 22 years, nobody stopped you and told you you could actually be asking for equity in your investors' deals. There you go. Olivia says, Tom makes my job easier. There you go. So Amber Morgan says, how do you structure the agent into getting 10% of the equity? I think you're asking a different question because Amber, the answer is pretty obvious, right? The answer is paperwork. So I think you might be asking a different question I might not understand. Amber, what's your question specifically?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so my question, I may have asked it incorrectly, is just kind of how does it work with the numbers when you're giving them 10% of the equity? Are you doing that at closing? Is it that they're getting paid monthly on the deal moving forward when it cash flows? Like, how does that work?
Okay. You guys want me to teach you why owning real estate's way better than anything else? Amber, you want me to teach you a couple of things?
Please.
What's the number one reason why we buy real estate?
To make money, passive income, or park your money?
This is so good. Okay. Kind of good answers. Let me tell you the 6 reasons why we buy real estate. Okay. And this will answer your question. The first reason we buy real estate is, you already guessed it, it's cash flow. We want cash flow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that my property cash flow is $1,000 a month net, right? After all expenses. And Tom, the guy who's getting 10%, by the way, can I tell you the ending of the story real quick and then I'll answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Tom just found me a piece of land that we're going to buy, that we're buying on seller finance, and we're going to build an apartment complex on it, 53 unit apartment complex. And Tom's getting 5.3 of those apartments as his equity in that deal. Plus he got commissioned. And Tom's like, that was the greatest thing. Like, you telling me you were going to pay me my 1% on the next transaction was the greatest thing you could have done for me. I was like, I actually did it to punish you for not bringing me the deal in seller finance in the first place. But now we close the door on the Tom situation. But going back to this deal for you, Amber, let's say I have a property that's cash flowing. It's an Airbnb. It's whatever, right? And it's netting $1,000 a month. I have a lot of properties that net $1,000 a month. So if you were a 10% partner with me or an equity partner, how much of that would be yours, Amber? $100? Oh, she somehow got muted. You there, Amber?
Yep, I'm here. Okay, I couldn't unmute.
Okay, no problem. So $100, right?
Yes.
Okay, what's the second reason why we buy real estate, Amber?
Tax benefits.
That's number 3.
Growing equity.
Ooh, I like it. That's called appreciation, right?
Yes.
Okay, where do you live?
South Florida.
Okay, but specifically?
Pembroke Pines.
Okay, not so specific. Give me like a bigger city. That
like Broward, Fort Lauderdale, or Miami.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, Fort Lauderdale. Okay, cool. So let me Google something for you just real quick. I want to Google what's the average appreciation of Fort Lauderdale. It's going to be big, obviously the last like couple years, but I'm going to say over 10 years. Okay. Ooh, wow. That's crazy. In 10 years, this is kind of disgusting. I can't even believe that's real. In 10 years, the Fort Lauderdale real estate market has appreciated 163%. Okay. Which is an average annual home appreciation of about 16%. Okay. So 16%. So let's say that I buy a property today. Do you know what the average purchase price of a home in America is? It's $425,000. So think about this, Amber. Next year, when our property that you own 10% of appreciates 16%, let's say in Fort Lauderdale, it's freaking bonkers. How much equity are we going to earn? Or it's not equity, right? Equity is a misnomer. People misuse the word equity. How much value does our property go up? Well, 425 times 16%. How much?
68,000.
Hell yeah. So 68,000 times 0.1, which is your share, you made $6,800 every single year that we own that property together.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is the one thing that, by the way, you agents just do not understand tax benefits. Oh my gosh. This is the superpower. This is like God tier superpower. If you understand tax benefits, you understand why I hold property. Check this out. The average purchase price of a home in America is $425, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you pay taxes last year, Amber?
Yes. Think about
Okay.
it.
My take home last year was over $10 million. I'm not bragging, but I want to lead into something. My take home was over $10 million. How much of that did I pay in taxes?
I'm guessing because of tax benefits or write-offs. Yeah.
I pay $0 in federal income tax. Is that kind of disgusting that some of you guys are making $200,000 a year, $100,000 a year? Your percentage that you're paying is significantly higher than mine. I pay zero. I pay $0 in federal income tax. Okay. Why is that? Well, because the IRS, this is not my rule, this is the IRS incentivizing me. They say, take any property that you buy, Pace, and divide it by 27 and a half years. Okay. Where does this calculation come from? That's a whole nother Zoom we could talk about. But this calculation is an IRS rule. Okay. And they say, we believe as the IRS that in 27 and a half years, your property will have to go through and repair itself every year for it to still be worth $425,000 in 27 and a half years. We believe that you have to have all these repairs and all this kind of stuff, which is not true. Their number is way off, which is great for us.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, take 27 and a half years and divide it into 425,000. And what we will do is for 27 and a half years, we will give you a yearly tax benefit. So let's do that math. 425 divided
15,455.
I love you. You're amazing. 15,000 what?
454 and 54 cents, or 455.
Okay, cool. So that means, check this out. The IRS will give me a tax benefit of $15,454. What does that mean specifically? Yeah, just for owning the property. Okay.
Okay.
What is that? And by the way, they give that to me every year. So next year, guess what I get? $15,454,000. Guess what? Next year I get the same thing. $15,454,000. Next year, 50, all the way through for 27 and a half years. I got a really gangster thing to show you in just a second. Okay. This is called, just so you guys know, if you ever want to look this up and watch this, is called depreciation. Okay. It's a depreciation benefit from the IRS. Okay. So think about this. If I go and do, if I get commissions of $15,454,000 as an agent, is that really all of my money, or is Uncle Sam going to take 30 to 40% of that?
On the tax?
Yeah, let's say you go get a commission, you go sell a house, Amber, and you earn $15,454. Ironically, it's the same number, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much of that are you going to pay in taxes? Is that all your money, or is he going to pay some of that to Uncle Sam?
Oh, you're paying some of it.
Okay, depending on your tax bracket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your tax bracket, if you're an agent, you guys are probably somewhere in the 30-40% range. But let's just say it's 30%. Okay, I'm at 30% of that number. That means I go earn a commission of $15,000. I'm going to pay somewhere around $5,000 to $6,000 in taxes to the IRS, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. So you're telling me that if I go buy one house, and I do a lot of these with no money down, I go take over a house for $425,000, cost me almost no money to get into. Every year, the IRS will let me avoid paying $5,000 to $6,000 every time I go and earn $15,000.
Okay.
Okay. It wipes out my other income. So every year I get that nice little tax benefit of the IRS saying, hey, go and make Pace, go make $15,454 because the house you own right here will wipe that income out for you. So you pay $0 of tax on that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, here's the most gangster thing ever. It's called accelerated depreciation. It is also an IRS benefit. Did you know that I can take that number, okay, that's $15,000, and I can take 7 years up front of those 27 and a half years?
So the 15,000 times 7 years?
Yep, 15,000. I can take those benefits, those 7 years of benefits, okay, all in my first year. I can take 7 years of them.
So 108,000 $181.81.
Okay. 108 what?
$181.81.
That means that the IRS will tell me I can go make $108,000 in commissions this year. And because I bought this one property, I will get a tax benefit in my first year of buying it for $108,181.
Oh, wow. Okay. I did not know that.
Yet you guys are chasing commissions.
We should be buying properties.
You should be owning properties with your investors. This is why Claudienne had me come here. Now, the funny thing is what most people think, okay? Most people think, I want to make cash flow. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Which one's making you way more money?
Just having the property, the tax benefits.
Literally sitting on the property and doing nothing. The tax benefits far outweigh your cash flow by a significant margin. Now, if you are a 10% partner of mine, here's the challenge. The challenge is you would only get 10,800 of those benefits because you are a 10% owner of mine.
Okay.
But isn't that pretty gangster by itself too?
Mm-hmm.
So I go buy one property with you. You get 10% ownership of it. I'm already giving you $100 a month. I also, you know, your net worth is growing $6,800 a year. And this year you get to avoid paying taxes on $10,800.
And then rinse and repeat like you are doing with the agent in Montana.
Right.
And you can write off more just owning 10%.
Now think about this, okay? That's only 3 of the reasons why I buy real estate, okay? Do you want to know the most amazing part of real estate is actually not even either one of those. The most amazing part of real estate is something that I call the pay down. So let's say that I go and take over a house's payments, right? Somebody has a $325,000 house. I take over their payments. I now have a payment. But who's the one making the payment? Is it me or is it somebody else?
Someone else, you're renting it?
I am renting it. What do I do for a living, Amber? I want you to write this down. What does a landlord do for a living? They recruit people to pay off their debt and build their wealth for them. That is what I do. I recruit people. That's called getting tenants. I recruit people to pay off my debts. So think about this. Does anybody know this number? This is an interesting number. You guys should know this. When I go to Disneyland or I walk around Walmart, I walk around and I see any normal person, I go to Subway. I look at every human being. I'm sorry, this might be cold-hearted, but I look at every human being and I go 37%, 37%, 37%. Every time I see a human being anywhere, I go 37%, 37%. Why? Because this human being thinks that they work for Costco or a brokerage or a, let's say HP, Hewlett Packard, Amazon. Maybe they think they work for UPS. They don't work for UPS or Amazon or Walmart. They work from 8 o'clock in the morning until 11:37 in the morning for me, because 37% of the average American's paycheck goes towards paying their rent. So I've got nearly 2,000 people, Amber, every morning that wake up across the United States. They don't even know my name. And they are going out and working at their job to earn the money to pay off my debt. 37% of their paycheck goes to paying off my debt. When you wake up tomorrow morning, think about this. Not you specifically, Amber, because I've got you in what I call Pace Prison right now. But when any of you guys wake up tomorrow morning, how many people are going to wake up on your behalf to pay off your debts tomorrow? If the answer is 0, then you are doing nothing but trading your time for money. This is why Claudienne had me come here, is to wake some of you guys up and do deals with me. I'll give you 10% ownership. I'll give you 15% ownership. I'll give you 20% ownership. I'll give you 30%. Let's go do some freaking deals. I'll cover the costs. I'll pay for the closing costs. I'll give you your commissions. I'll pay for you guys. Let's go do some deals. Now, Amber, you want to know one more reason why we buy real estate?
Of course.
Okay, it's called leverage. Okay.
Okay.
What is leverage specifically? Well, we already know leverage, but let's say that I have a house. Okay. I buy a house. I've got a house. This is a really good example. I bought a house on 2720 North Sterling Avenue in Mesa, Arizona. You guys can look this. Actually, I'll pull it up. Here, let's just make it easy. Pull it up. I got to mute Amber now because she's ordering a burrito in the background. Sorry, Amber. I loved you. That was you and I had a great fling going on for a minute. That was really great. But when you started ordering the burrito on the background, I had to cut you off. I'm sorry.
My bad.
No, I'm joking, right? Okay, so check this out. Check this house out. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I love looking at this house. I bought this house with no equity. I took over somebody's payments on this house. Okay. When was it? 2019. Okay. So roughly 4 years ago. This property has appreciated, just this one house. Okay. This is a great story. I could tell you guys story on story and story after this house that shows so many amazing things. Claudienne will have to have me come back. This house has appreciated $300,000 for me. $300,000. Now, that's not leverage. Okay. That is not called leverage. All right. Let me tell you what leverage is. That's called appreciation. But if my property goes up, okay, if my property that I bought for $390 goes all the way up to $690,000, how do I gain access or utilize that, what we call equity? How do I use that? Does anybody have an idea of how do I use that? Now, option A is I could refinance. Okay, you guys know Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Who knows Rich Dad, Poor Dad out here? He's kind of losing his mind lately, but he's a good guy. He taught a lot of good stuff. He's a little crazy. Okay, he's like all about like Armageddon and all sorts of crazy things going on. Okay, so if I refinance and I pull that $300,000 out, how much taxes do I pay on my $300,000 refinance? Because I just put $300,000 in my pocket, right? If I do a refinance, how much money do I get? And how much goes to Uncle Sam? Vivian, I see you thinking about typing. You've been very active. I love it. How much of the $300,000? Oh, Joseph says 0 taxes. Vivian doesn't give me an answer. She just says, thanks. I like it. Thank you, Vivian. So if I pull out $300,000 of my equity on that property, you guys are all aware that I pay 0 taxes on that income that I received, right? Joy Williams. Oh my gosh, this is so good. She says, would it be 1031 exchange? No, it's only a 1031 exchange if I sold the property. But what if I'm refinancing, which means I'm replacing the old loan with a new loan? That's not a sale. That's a refinance. I pull out $300,000. I get to keep that $300,000. And then who pays down the new loan that I just pulled out $300,000 in cash on? Me or my tenant? Interesting. Interesting. It is not taxed. My $300,000 is not considered income. What can I use that $300,000 for? Do you know what the answer is? Anything I want. I can buy sushi with it. I can buy my wife lingerie. I can go buy a Cartier watch. I can do whatever I want. Okay. Now, here's another really cool thing I can do with that money. What if I don't want to refinance it? What if that $390,000 loan that I just took over, let's say the interest rate's like 3.75, and I'm like, dude, I got so much cash tied up in this house. It's worth $690. I got $300,000 tied up in this property. How can I get access to that capital without refinancing the property? You guys want to know something kind of cool? You could do a home equity line of credit, but that's also getting another loan. Yeah, let's do that's option B is a HELOC, right? I could do a HELOC. That's cool. But what if I don't want to go to a bank for this? What could I use this money for? Check this out. You want to see something really cool? I'll tell you exactly what I did with this 300 grand, which is why I'm using this house specifically. Anybody in Illinois? Anybody near Springfield, Illinois? Everybody's like, no. We're in Atlanta. We're in cool cities, not Springfield. Okay, cool. Well, let me show you a cool little deal I did. All right, check this out. So Springfield, Illinois, a little property I just bought. I think it's like right here. I say it's a little property, but it's not really. Got to remind, I usually know it by heart by just looking at it. Hold on, I got to pull up the address. Let's see. Okay, Whispering Pines, perfect. Whispering Pines apartment homes. Here we go. Dang it, I was so close. Okay. All of these buildings, okay, you see all these buildings, 1, 2, 3, 4, all these, all the way over here even. Okay, all of those are mine. I own all of these, okay? Let's do a little thing. Can you see this square that I just put up? Everything that's right here is in one acquisition I just purchased, Whispering Pines apartment homes, 250 unit apartment complex, 250 unit apartment complex, okay? Seller just gave me 0 down seller finance on that deal. 0 down seller finance. Did the seller ask me for my credit? Did he ask me for my credentials? Did he ask me how much money I had in the bank? No, did not. I paid the price he asked. Where did I get the deal? Expired listing. Expired listing, expired listing. Oh my gosh, there's so many deals in expired listings. The seller says to me, well, Pace, I'll do the deal with you, $20 million, but I want skin in the game. I want a down payment. And I go, well, how about this? I've got to renovate the property and improve the rents and raise the rents, which is what investors do. How about I put $2 million, okay, by the way, that money's coming from investors. So pay attention to where that's not my money. So I go, hey, seller, how about if I put $2 million into an escrow account that gets released only for my construction? So I have skin in the game, and that even though I don't want to give you a down payment, I'm going to put $2 million into the property. So if I default and I stop making payments to you, you can take the property back and you get to keep the $2 million if I screw up. Obviously, I'm not going to screw up. I know what I'm doing. Imagine if this freaking agent would have just brought this deal to me in the first place. So the seller says, okay, no problem. Is that your $2 million or are you borrowing the $2 million? I go, I will be borrowing the $2 million from private money lenders. Cool. Seller says, nope, I am not going to allow that because I don't want any of your lenders in second position behind my first position seller finance note. Give me a yes if you understand what that means. Okay. Vivian, do you know what that means? Shane says no. Shane Calhoun, this is great. Shane Calhoun. Thank you, Shane, for saying no. Let me take 5 minutes and explain this to my boy, Shane. Shane, you got award-winning hair, my guy. What's up?
What's up, Pace?
Okay, so do you know what first position, second position means?
No, I do not.
You mean to tell me they didn't teach that in real estate school?
Correct. And I'm
Okay.
actually doing real estate school right now, and I'm learning even less.
Yeah, they don't really teach much. So don't feel bad about it. So if I go, Shane, if I go get a loan, Okay, here's a good example. What's a hobby that you like to do?
Go to the gym.
Okay, so I go to the gym. Let's say I decide I don't want to go to the gym anymore. I want to go and build a gym in my own home, like in my garage. That's going to cost some money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So could I go to my grandma and say, "Hey, grandma, can you give me $10,000 and give me a loan against my house?" Could you do that?
Sure.
Okay. Do you own your house or are you renting?
Renting.
Okay, so let me switch up the example a little bit. Do you have a car?
I do, yes.
Do you own it or rent it?
Own it.
Okay, great. So do you have a car payment on it?
No.
Okay, so it's free and clear.
Correct.
Amazing. Okay, so you have 0 lien positions on your car because it's owned free and clear, right?
Yep.
Perfect. This is a great example. Okay, cool. So Shane, you go to your grandma and you go, "Grandma, I got this car that I can give you as collateral, but I need to borrow $10,000 to build a gym in my garage." Your grandma says, "Okay, no problem." And she goes and puts a lien on your car. What position would she be in if she's the only person that has a lien on that car?
First
lien position, right? So you're building out the gym and you go, "Oh, damn, dude, I'm running out of money. I thought it was going to be 10 grand, but it's 15 grand. So you go back to your grandma and you go, "Hey, grandma, can you give me 15 instead of 10? I need an extra 5. And your grandma says, "I don't have the money, Shane. You're going to have to go ask somebody else." So you go ask your uncle and your uncle gives you $5,000 and you go, "Hey, uncle, I got my car as collateral." Would your uncle be in first position or would he now be in second position?
Second.
Could you understand why your grandma wouldn't want somebody behind her in a second lien position?
Yeah, because the collateral is being used.
There you go. Cool. So that's first lien position and second lien position. So if you had a car loan, think about this. If you had a car loan in the same exact situation, what position would your grandma be in instead of first position?
She'd be second.
And then your uncle?
Third.
Amazing. So you do understand lien positions.
I understand. Yes, now I do.
I know. This is, and sometimes you just got to break it down to like a simple analogy. Okay.
Yep.
Does that now make sense for everybody? Marshall
Absolutely.
says Uncle Sam owns first position on your property. Not technically, but he's actually true. He's actually correct. No matter what, if you own your property or not, Uncle Sam's going to take, it's not Uncle Sam. It's actually it's the state taxes. They want property taxes. Actually, you know, the reality is if you don't have insurance on your property, so insurance and taxes, you'll have to pay for the rest of your life on property, which does suck, but that's okay. Okay, cool. So Shane, you now understand what lien positions are.
Yes.
So if this seller of 256 units is going to seller finance those units to me for $20 million, he's going to have a lien position in what position at $20 million?
First.
First lien. So if I'm going to go borrow money to renovate the property, I'm going to go borrow money from friends and family. And what position is that going to be in?
That will be second.
That is correct. That'll be in second lien position, correct? Is
Yes.
everybody following me here? Give me a yes in the comments. I like how, Shane, you only typed one thing in the comments all night and it was no. I like that.
Well, it's funny. I was actually eating a burrito, so I didn't want to unmute.
You're the guy that was ordering burritos the whole time.
It wasn't me. I was muted. Promise.
Okay. All right, cool. So we understand lien positions, right? So what do I do, Shane, if I'm buying a property on seller finance and I need to secure my investors, the people who are bringing the $2 million to me, by giving them a lien position on the apartment, and my seller who's seller financing it to me says, no, I do not want a second lien position on the property I'm seller financing to you. What do you do?
You tell me.
There you go. What you do is you go to the other properties you have that have leverage. So the property on 2720 North Sterling that has $300,000 trapped in it, all I do is I take the $2 million from my investors and I spread them around on other properties to secure them against other real estate so that I can go raise money for that property. That is called leverage. And so I can go and leverage other assets I have to go buy new assets It's pretty powerful. And all the while I'm using zero credit the whole entire time. Shane's like, let me get back to my burrito. Okay, bye, Shane. So Amber, when you ask the question of, hey, I'm gonna, I want 10% ownership with Pace. What does that look like? How is that structured? Have I given you a better understanding of what that looks like? It's not just 10% of the cash flow. It's 10% of the everything.
Yes, that makes sense now.
Is that not super gangster besides, oh, I get $100 a month?
Oh, absolutely. Now I just have to find you some properties.
Now think about this too. What about in 36 months when I raise the rents on the property that you and I own together? Let's say I raise the rents $300. Guess what? Your cash flow goes up $30 every single month now, right?
Right.
So that's what happens is the longer you own the property, the more it cash flows, the more it gets better and better and better, the more you can leverage it, all that kind of stuff. One property on Sterling, that one property on Sterling came from an expired, actually, here's the sad thing. That property on Sterling, last thing I'll say and I'll shut up because I've just word vomited this whole, have you guys actually learned anything? Amber, did you learn anything?
Absolutely. A million things.
Should I come back and go like way more basic for a little bit, like another session?
Yes, please. Absolutely. I think everybody's going to say yes.
I was really trying to get Janet to make some comments, but she wouldn't make any comments this whole night. And she didn't believe in me for the
Look,
first
she's
45
right there.
minutes.
I see her.
Oh, you do? Okay. She's making comments now. Okay. Janet, did I get you to warm up to me a little bit towards the end?
She is not budging.
I know. It's okay. I'm okay with it. I saw her warming up at the end. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, y'all dropped some fires. If you felt like you gained one piece of value tonight, drop some fires. If you felt like you gained some knowledge, you feel like you're gonna take this knowledge, you're gonna win with it, even if it's just one nugget. I know a lot of this information was over the head. And listen, I learned some stuff here. Okay, I learned some stuff here tonight. I'm always a student. And so I got a couple of questions. First of all, Pace said he's going to come back. First of all, this training is supposed to be 1 hour. He took it there. Y'all drop him some fires. I see some people still say they're a little confused. How do they get to your community? How can they be a part of Pace Morby's community to learn more? Guys, he has a lot of YouTube content. I'm walking in my son's room and Pace Morby's on the screen. Because he's dropping value. And so how do they become a part of your community? Where do they find it? Where are you? I know there's like seems like 100,000 or maybe millions of people in the Facebook community, but you tell us where to find you.
You can't join my community. My community is closed as of a couple of days ago. But what you can do is I have a free Facebook group. It's called Creative Finance with Pace Morby. We have 120,000 people in that Facebook group. My YouTube channel gets like 5 million views a month. So we have great, amazing stuff. Like, you want to see me walk around these properties? You want to see me actually go, like I fly to every property I buy. I break it down. I whiteboard everything out. I give you paperwork in my descriptions. Like I'm that guy that is like, I want to make sure you understand it truly. Okay. So I think there's a couple of my students in here. Who's one of my sub 2 students in here?
Drop a number 2 if you are a sub 2 student. A number 2 in the chat box.
Okay, so every Monday, there you go. There's the Facebook group right there. Every Monday, my students go through and they call live on expired listings. You have somebody in here that's one of my students. I think she just joined yesterday, like right as we closed it down. Every 6 months we close it's like the demand is so strong. We have 11,000 students. And so I have to shut it down for like 3 or 4 months at a time so we can like catch up. And then we open it back up. Let's see. Somebody in here was one of my students. I saw them earlier. Here's what I'll do. I'll make it really basic. Have me come back in like 30 days. And what I'll do is I'll actually bring in one of my agents who's one of my students. And we'll show you guys how to pull an expired listing list, and we'll actually call some expired listings and show you guys how to do it. And I'll break down like really basic deals, like what is subject to. And somebody's like, I'm still a little confused. Dude, I got 2,000 YouTube videos. I'm crazy. I literally have 7 months of content already pre-edited and pre-posted that like will get released. If I died, today, my YouTube channel would still post for 7 more months. Like, I have so much content I put out there and give you guys. And I'm not one of those guys that does YouTube videos like, here's the top 5 reasons why blah, 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 blah. I'm like, hey guys, we're at the property. I bought this way. Here's where the deal came from. Here's the paperwork. Here's the this, here's that. Here's how much I'll make. Here's the person that brought the deal to me. Here's the agent telling you she made $27,000 on this deal. Like, I'm very nitty gritty. So watch my YouTube channel in the meantime. And I'll have Claudienne have me come back, and I'll bring a couple of my students that are agents as well, show you guys how to pull expired listings. And then we'll actually do like expired listing calls. We'll just do actual business. You guys want to actually do the calls instead of just talk about the calls?
Pace, listen, I am the queen of calling. They have heard Jeff do cold calls, warm calls. So we love it. I love that in action. They get to hear how many no's you're probably going to get to before you get to the yes. And I want to just mention this about you. And this is probably one of the reasons, and I could be wrong, you tell me, Pace, but one of the reasons I believe that you're so successful is because nobody's tapping into that market. Nobody wants to do the work. I heard you say earlier, they're like, oh, but they're none of those around. How do you find them? And then I also saw, I don't know where I saw this. I'm like on YouTube, I'm on your everywhere. And I saw that, dang, I lost my train of thought. Any which way, if I think about it, I'll remind the people. But guys, you got to be consistent in something. Don't be consistent at doing nothing. You know what I'm talking about. You got to be consistent and do. Oh, I know what it was, Pace. You have, and I want you to talk about this when you come back. I know we've gone way over. Thanks everybody for staying. I mean, 74 people stayed here and maintained the entire time. That's a big deal. But you were saying that stop doing the tasks that you shouldn't be doing. And you hire VAs to do a lot of the calling, a lot of the back end work. And then when it's time for you to come, you're there. So I want you to talk about that next time you come. But I love that about you. You understand where you're most effective. You understand that that's not something that you should be doing. So you have assigned those, I call them paper pushing tasks, you know, non-income producing. Well, they are income producing tasks, but you know what I'm trying to say. You have been able to say, okay, wait, this is not something I need to be doing anymore. So now you have given that task on and you're very comfortable with doing it. So I just want to say thank you for coming here. I am definitely going to take you up on that offer. It's nothing like having A&E's best on Claudienne's Zoom training on a Wednesday night at 7 p.m., guys. Y'all drop some fires one more time for Pace Morby.
I would do anything for you. Out of all the people I've met in the last while, I just adore you the most. And so whatever you want me to do, I'm here to serve you and your community. You are an amazing leader. You inspire me. And even my wife is like, she's such a great mom. Like you're my vibe. I love you. I adore you. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to show you a little bit of that. And whenever you want me to come back, I'm traveling for the next month, but when I'm back, I'd love to do something.
All right, excellent. And tell Mrs. Morby I said I love her too. I'm always in her DM. Like, I love you guys. You guys are just authentic. You are true. You're like not, look, and he hasn't even shared his story yet. Maybe you could share the next time. But when I heard Pace's story, like he was a no-brainer for me. I loved him before the story, but to know that, you know, he had hard times too, like most of us. This is not a kid that was just given a silver spoon. And maybe I should have said this in the beginning, but I'm just thinking about it now, you know, in a silver fork or whatever, however you call it. Like, this is somebody who's literally figured it out and got it out of the mud. You know what we mean by got it out of the mud. And so I love him for that. Listen, I love the family. We're out. This Zoom is over. Y'all drop him some fires as he
Thank you, guys.
Peace out.
See ya.
Did y'all really like that? Like, for the people that are still here, unmute yourselves. Like, was that of value to you guys? Wait, I can't hear anybody. I don't know what's going on here. Pasted something funky with the volume. Oh, I see it. Hold on. Wait a minute. There we go. Now you can unmute yourselves.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
That was
Great.
amazing.
It was awesome.
He was amazing.
Mind blowing.
Yes, 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 guys. We're gonna be bringing you people like Pace. Like, it was not easy. Like, where's Crystal? Is Crystal here? Man, they were telling me no. You could not record this part. You could stop recording this part.
Claudienne, do you have an Instagram?
I do.